Hello everyone, let's now understand about CSS selectors. So CSS selectors are used to find or select the HTML elements that you want to style in your HTML file. So there are different CSS selectors available to us: element, ID, class, universal and grouping selector. Let's look each one of them one by one and let's apply CSS using these selectors. So let's now go to our VS Code. So I am having a basic boilerplate. I have added a h1 tag and in that I have mentioned hello world, and I have also added the external styles sheet, and right now there is nothing in the styles.css. Let's apply style to this h1 element by using the element selector. So for that we have to target this element. So for that I am going to take h1. So this will target our elements, so that is why it is called as element selector. I am going to give it the color as red, and also one more property, that is text align as center. So what it will do is it will bring the text in the center. So once I refresh, you can see the color is red and the text is in center. So this we have done by making use of element selector. Okay, let's comment out this code and do the same thing using the ID selector. So for ID selector, what we need to do is we need to make use of ID property or attribute. So ID attribute, and we have to give ID a name. So for example, in this case I am going to give ID as head1, and let's now apply the style. So in order to target this, we have to make use of this hash symbol. So I am going to write head1 and again the style. So this time let me give the color as blue and the text align as center. Okay, so a semicolon should come here, text align as center. So once I save it and refresh the page, you can see the CSS is now applied, but this time we have made use of ID selector, right? So let's now look at the third one. Before that, let's comment this out and look at the third one. So the first one was, let me give the name also so that it will be easier for you to understand. The first one was element, so element selector. Okay, this was ID selector. Okay, so let's see the next one that we have. So we have seen element and ID. The next is class selector. So if I have to do the same thing using class selector, let's see how can we achieve that. So for that, let's go to our index.html, and instead of ID we have to give a class name. So class name, let it be para1 or anything of your choice. So para1 is our class name, and in order to target the class, what we need to do, make use of is a dot operator. Okay, so para1, and again we have to give the stylings. So let's give the similar styles, but this time the color should be green. Let's change the color and let's save it. So once I refresh the page, you can see the CSS is now applied. So this was class selector. Now the main use of class selector is, if you have multiple elements on your index.html, suppose we have a paragraph, we have h2, okay, and there is some content. So like this is h2, anything can be the content. So this is para, and I want so right now it will look something like this. I want that this same style should be applied to this is para also. So how can I do that? So if I want the exact same styles to be applied to that, what I will do is I will copy this class and apply to this para, okay, or any element that I want to style. So now when I refresh it, you can see the similar style will be applied to this. So this is the main use of class. But while we make use of ID, you have to make sure that ID should be unique and you cannot apply one ID to multiple elements. Okay, so this is the main difference between class and ID. Let's now move ahead and move on to our next selector, which is our universal selector. So I'm going to comment this out, and universal selector is the next that we are going to look. Okay, so universal selector. So basically suppose this is the same scenario that we have. Let's remove all the classes, because right now we are not making use of class selector. We will make use of universal selector. So suppose we have these three elements on our screen, that is h1, h2 and p, and right now our screen is looking something like this. Now what we want is, we want the styles to be applied on all the elements that we have on our page. Okay, all the elements that we have on our page. So right now we have three elements, we want that the style should be applied to all three of them. So what we are going to do is, we are going to make use of this universal selector. Universal selector is targeted using this star symbol, and then what we have to do is, we just have to simply add our CSS. So this CSS I'm going to apply, and once I save it and once I'm going to refresh it, you can see that the CSS is now applied to all the elements that are on the HTML file. So this was our universal selector. Now last one is grouping selector. Okay, so grouping selector, let's now see what is meant by grouping selector. So grouping selector, so let's see, we have this kind of scenario again, wherein we want that h1 and p should have the same styles. So we have already seen one way of doing this by using the class selector, but we also have another option, that is the grouping selector. So for example, if we want the styles to be applied on h1 and p only, then what we are going to do is, we are going to group the selectors, that is we want that the style should be applied on h1 and p, and then we will mention all the styles. So once I do this, I have applied grouping selector. Okay, which means that the styles will be applied on h1 and p. Let's refresh this, so you can see that the style is only applied on h1 and p. So this was about all the selectors, like what are the different selectors that we have in CSS, and how do we apply styles using all these selectors. Just in case if you have any doubt, let me know in the comment section, and if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching the video.